What's going on, everyone? So, a lot of questions about Matthew Lillard and his return as Stu Macher in the upcoming Scream 7. We know that he is officially back. In what capacity? We don't know. A lot of people believe that he is alive and well, and that's going to be one of the big reveals. Matthew Lillard even recently said himself that, it was supposed to be a secret. It was supposed to be kind of kept under wraps until the trailer. And I've seen a lot of people, a lot of comments and stuff, people that are like, does that mean he's back? Because why would that be a mystery until the trailer? But I don't think that would signal it, because if they wanted to surprise people with him being alive, then I don't think that they would reveal that in the trailer either, right? I think that that's something you want to keep completely under wraps until the actual movie. And then when people actually see the movie, then you have the whole haha, I'm back type thing. So I don't know. It's one of those things are you really going to reveal something like that in the trailer, right? I think what Matthew Lillard was referring to was the reveal that he's in the movie, not necessarily that he's alive in any capacity. And I'm not saying that he's not. I don't know, right? None of us know. But Matthew Lillard was in an interview and recently said some interesting comments that people are using to point to and go, he is alive and he is in this upcoming film. So I want to go over what he said, and then we'll talk about, the interpretation or how it can be interpreted. But Matthew Lillard said, "I've said for the last 20 years that Stu is still alive, and I'm finally glad I get to sort of prove that." Now, here's the thing. The key word in that, again, I've said for the last 20 years that Stu is alive, which Matthew Lillard has been campaigning that, Stu, right? But he says, and I'm finally glad I get to sort of. The key words is sort of prove that, right? So again, you can interpret that obviously several ways. That, he is alive, right, in some capacity, right? That, maybe he's not alive as Ghostface, but he's alive, maybe in a jail cell or something like that, a prison cell, right? Or, maybe he's alive in some capacity, right? But I also think the sort of is where things get a little interesting. One, would Matthew Lillard really reveal that I'm alive, right? Or, could it have been a slip up? We've seen lots of people, especially Marvel people are very notorious. Tom Holland's comes to mind, very notorious for spoiling stuff, or just the slip of the tongue type thing. Again, I don't know how they're going to do it, but I've talked about they need to kind of figure it out one way or another, right? Pick a direction. If he's alive, fine, bring him back and let's get it over with. Let's go the story route, right? If not, then confirm he's dead and can we move on, right? Because it just seems like Scream really loves to kind of drag out this Stu Macher thing, right? And the problem is you just get these camps that, and these expectations. It's something that I've already talked about every time I talk about Stu Macher being alive, that people are going into this film with this expectation. Look, Matthew Lillard has been on a media tour and campaigning that Stu is this, that, and the other, right? He's doing what he's supposed to do. His job is to create the buzz, get people excited, get butts in seats, and go yes, But the studio and the writers and the movie standpoint, right? If Stu isn't alive, you're going to have a lot of very disappointed moviegoers, right? You're going to have a lot of people that are going to go into that and oh man, this wasn't what I expected. And now it ruins their experience because they had a certain expectation and didn't meet that expectation, and runs the risk of ruining anything else in between, right? Or anything else before or after, because they're just now fixated on Stu is not alive, right? And they're upset about that, right? Rather than hey, let's one way or another establish it immediately, quit drawing this out, quit dragging this on, right? I believe that he's dead. I believe that there are plenty of evidence, but people have their thoughts, have their theories, have their opinions, have their ideas, certain things that, they go, oh yeah, but it was because of this or that, or, do we talk about him in the present tense? And it's just again, context matters, but nonetheless, right, we will see. I just think it's interesting that he said sort of, right? Which again, kind of continues to drive that speculation, right? Because he says he's sort of alive rather than I get to finally prove that he's alive, right? Because sort of alive could mean he's alive and well in the movie, right? He's Ghostface, he's whatever, right? He's alive in the Scream universe and never really died. That he's full-fledged alive. but it could also mean in like a spirit sense, right? Like Billy Loomis was alive in, Scream 5, right? Not in the traditional sense, but in the sense of the film, right? He's interacting with Sam and you get to see that back and forth, right? Like there is the sense of, sort of prove that he's alive. Like, are they gonna kind of like leave it ominous, right? Like supposedly there's a Scream 8, right? Like we're supposed to be getting Scream 8, right? So is it something where they kind of leave you guessing and then maybe they have them revealed in Scream 8, right? Where they kind of leave you on a cliffhanger where it's like, oh, maybe he's alive, maybe he's dead. There's a lot of rumors and speculation about like, oh, maybe it's the voice changer from Scream 3 and it's a new version of that, or, deep fake AI, right? Because we're in the time where that's a real thing, right? Like you could go to entire channels have just like deep fake AI of celebrities and all kinds of stuff, right? So that could be in the sense of him being alive, right? Like that he's alive in the film, but through the technology, right? Not him flesh and blood walking around, squabbling with Sydney, right? It's more of like a essence thing, right? Like you can see him talk back, have dialogue, maybe Sydney's FaceTiming and, going back and forth with Stu and, and it's just like this thing where it's like, okay, like Stu's there, he's there, but Sydney's like, wait, you're dead. Like, I know you're dead type thing. Right. And it's just like this, again, there's a lot of ways you can interpret that, but of course, this is just another thing in the lore of is Stu alive that people are going to point to and go like, there's the confirmation. Again, I don't think that this is confirmation. Because he didn't just flat out say, he just said like, I've been, campaigning and talking about Stu's alive for 20 years and that I believe Stu's alive for 20 years. But, at the end of the day, he's not the writer. He's not these new moviegoers, right? Like, so it's not necessarily up to him. Right? They called him. He didn't go to them and be like, hey, I want to come back as Stu. You guys should have me on. Right? Matthew Lillard even said, like, they called him and talked about, like, a creative way or whatever. And he was like, yeah, sure, let's do it type thing. Right? Is that creative way bringing him back, or is that creative way just him existing in some form and capacity? Right? I don't think that this is confirmation that Stu is alive, but I do think it's interesting. Again, the sort of is the key, right? Like, again, paragraph, phrase, context, words are important, right? He didn't flat out say, I'm glad I finally get to prove that, right? He said sort of prove that, right? So, interpret that how you want, but let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Kind of mixed in the middle. However you feel either way, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel. What are you doing? Hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.